The Nigerian International Energy Summit 2025 has commenced, giving access to leading-edge technical information, the industry's largest equipment exhibition, and valuable new professional contacts from around the world. Its large international participation provides excellent opportunities for global sharing of technology, expertise, products, and best practices. The International Summit brings together industry leaders, investors, buyers, or entrepreneurs, meeting to develop business partnerships and learn about the latest advances. The offshore sector investors, policymakers, and industry leaders are going to discuss the future of Africa's energy sector that will also feature an international exhibition of energy sector products and services. The theme for the 2025 Nigeria International Summit is Bridging Continents, Connecting Investors Worldwide with Africa's Energy Potential. These and more will form the cracks for the conversation on this program. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ikaria Clinton. Welcome. With me in the studio for the conversation is Dr. Paul Arinze. He's the president, Pedesal Africa Limited. You're welcome to Nigeria today.
Thank you very much. Good to be here.
Now, Dr. Paul, without much ado, just go straight into the summit. You were part of the summit. So tell us something about it that we have not really mentioned in this at the intro.
Yeah, I mean, it's the history of the Nigeria International Energy Summit is quite impressive. It's a young series of summits in terms of the number of years it's been around, because it started in 2018, and then in so little time it's obviously occupies a number one position in terms of African energy summits anywhere else on the continent. So it's the history and what it's been able to broker in terms of engagement, in terms of deals, in terms of policy influence is quite impressive.
Okay, still talking about some of the issues. I just like the intro mentioned, cutting a lot of stakeholders in the energy sector are coming together to brainstorm, to move the energy sector forward of their country forward. Now, tell us, what are some of the major energy challenges facing Africa? Because now we're talking about Africa, but with a particular attention to Nigeria.
Yeah, I mean, it's a global village, and even more so in Africa. Nigeria is clearly a leader in terms of energy, particularly hydrocarbons in Africa. And whatever our challenges have a larger interpretation across the continent. So I'll mention a couple of them. Energy, as you know, is a capital-intensive sector. So finding the finance to make the investment necessary to drive the sector is a key challenge. It's a major one. Infrastructure to develop, produce, distribute, and market or commercialize the energy in whatever form is another challenge. Even in mature markets like Nigeria, you still have lack of infrastructure of the right kind or scale to move the industry in the direction it has to be. Those are just some examples. And of course, you have some social issues, including environmental concerns, the issue of how you distribute revenue is a permanent problem in most developing economies, including ours. I mean, these everywhere in Africa. So those above the ground issues sometimes even trump the technical issues and the business issues of the industry. So these are some of the challenges. And of course, you now have energy transition, which is currently the one that everyone is trying to grapple with. Yes.
Thank you very much, Dr. Paul. But we are being joined right now by Olabode Shomi. He's an energy expert and also a public affairs analyst. It's good to have you in Nigeria today.
Always a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, sure. show me, you are also part of this summit, and of course, this is obviously not the first time, because 2025 shows will be going, through what has been talked about in the summit, and of course, with a little bit of research, I found out that this is not the first time we're having this kind of summit. But now, talk to us. Give us your own perception about this summit, and what you think it can bring to the fore in terms of when you look at our own energy sector.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm a delegate at the summit as a representative of the Nigerian Gas Association. So in the Nigerian Gas Association, I chair the Energy Transition Study Group, which basically gathers data and does research for not just the society, but for the industry at large. So having said that, when you have an event of this nature, in fact, events of this nature for specific to this industry, or irrespective of the industry. So if we are industry agnostic now, when you have corporate events, be it in telecoms, be it in health, be it in sports, they gather for a number of purposes. But at the fundamentals is that it is a marketplace. It is a marketplace of ideas. So companies come in there so that they can interact with their peers and find out what is the latest in the industry, what the others are doing, how people are overcoming them. People also come in there to network. That is a fundamental. I mean, it's just like any market. So if you go to a market, you can go to the same market every day of the week for different purposes and achieve different goals. You can also go to the same market once in a month, and it will be a waste of time. Primarily because the person that went once a month went there for window shopping. So one of the things that I think that is missing, particularly when we engage events like this on personal and sometimes even corporate basis, is that there is missing goals. So the event has happened last year. It was nice for the euphoria and excitement. You met a few old friends and all that, but you did not strike a deal. But if I met a company there last year and we started talking, and this year we are signing an MOU, even if I come on the last day, I've achieved a major yardstick. So the fact that people don't actually come in with goals to achieve is sometimes why they don't achieve. I mean, those events does not make what it should. But at the fundamentals, it's a marketplace of ideas. It is a place where you find out what is the latest in the industry. It is a place where you network. And of course, it's a place where you hear more about government policies, directions, because the ministry is there. The two ministers were there at the dinner yesterday. They were there, and there was a special session on women in energy, where you had virtually some of the top women in the industry. You had the MD of Hess Petroleum, you had the special advisor on energy, you had the Minister of Trade and Investment. So key women speaking to advocacy on women issues, and of course, letting men understand that, I mean, a man can be a he or she that is advocating for them. So in terms of the impact in the industry is the kind of thing that has everything you want.
Okay, you've mentioned, of course, some of the issues and some of the the gains.
Yes.
But now, looking at this particular summit and our own challenges, our own peculiar challenges, what areas would you think that this summit would make more meaning to us as a country?
Okay, so I understand your question. So I need to put that question within a different frame and perspective. So if you have a Ferrari and you have a pickup truck, and you ask, for the purposes of the trip I'm having tomorrow, which car is going to make more meaning? It all depends on the purpose. So if I'm going to carry a few chairs and tarpaulin and things, the Ferrari just won't do it. I mean, it's a special car, it's expensive, but it's not made for it. And if I were going on sightseeing and I needed to feel the breeze on by the ocean front, there's a car that's so. You see, the event itself is agnostic. The event is an event, it's an agnostic. What it offers is a platform. It's like a board. So it is the people that come in there that determines what the event should be. So the event organizers have brought in people to speak on different aspects of the industry. Now, those people will come in offering latest perspectives based on where they are. So if it's the MD of Shell that is speaking, if it's the special advisor that is speaking, they're going to speak on the current issues. Based on that, those who are looking for opportunities will tap in on the, should I say, challenges, offer solution, and present it to the industry. My colleague Eddie made mention of a particular challenge, financing. The forward-thinking bank, the forward-thinking financial institution needs to now look at that and say, there is $1 trillion opportunity here. Based on all the things that we know, how are we able to source financing, talk to the World Bank, talk to other banks, JP Morgan, and see? It is the thing of the financial sector. So if they refuse to do that, the private sector, the entrepreneurship spirit has failed. That is not the responsibility of the event in itself. It is the responsibility of those of us who have come into the event, who are normally supposed to achieve what it is. So it's like saying, if I go to the market and I didn't buy Gary, that's a very bad market. Is there a bad market?
Okay. Okay. Dr. Paul, you mentioned some of the challenges we are faced with as a country, even as a continent. Okay, as a continent down to the country. Now, having mentioned some of these challenges, how do you think we can address these challenges?
I mean, it begins with engagement. Investors have to talk with project promoters,
which they have started with the summit.
Which this kind of gathering provides the opportunity for. Operators have to talk to regulators and policy makers and find a meeting point. So, and you can't do that in a vacuum. You got to come together. And sometimes you can have the business meetings on a one-on-one, but when the industry gathers, everyone tends to push in the same direction, which is where these kinds of forums provide the right kind of opportunity to create a coalition of views and momentum. And I'll give you an example. There was a time when the overhang of JV cash calls was the crushing problem of the upstream industry in Nigeria. It was at the NEIES that intense conversations were had, commitments were made, which helped to resolve that problem through a smart solution. So the forum provides an opportunity for diverse views to, rather than sit across the fence and point fingers at the others, come together and debate and discourse. That's what it does. And there's another situation right now that this NEIES offers a golden opportunity for. The sort of, I wouldn't call it divestment of the international oil companies from Nigeria. Rather, I think it's really about portfolio rebalancing. It's happening. The indigenous oil companies, indigenous producers are finding their feet. Whether it's in gas or oil or midstream or upstream, Nigerian producers and operators are finding their moment as the international organizations are retreating. It is at forums like this that you then say, okay, what does that mean? Where are the opportunities for the local players to get involved? How do you monetize gas? How do you create the kind of commercial framework to monetize gas so that my friend here can say exactly what is required to do that? So it is at forums like this that those conversations are had, so that you can broker the solutions. I recall, for instance, that the issue of domestic financing or domestic refining has been, until very recently, a major issue. And at every round of Nigeria International Energy Summit, this had almost a permanent segment of discussion, which helped to continue to move the needle towards a solution. So like my colleague said, the summit provides both a national and a continental platform to address the issues and provide the solutions on a collective basis, yes.
Now, Ishowumi, you talked about the opportunity. Of course, Doctor also has mentioned the opportunity that these kinds of gathering, avail us. Now, how can we, tap into these kinds of summit, like maximize the opportunity that has been provided us to transform our own energy sector?
I think it's basically, at the end of the day, preparation and performance. So if no matter how knowledgeable you are, how experienced you are, if you don't come in with a view of finding solutions and solving problems, it will just be another event. And no matter how ignorant you are, if your intention is to tap into the market and find something, your perspective and what you're able to come out of it totally changes. I was having a discussion with Mrs. Patricia Hart, who used to be a commissioner of energy in Rivers and one of the foremost female entrepreneurs in the industry. And she said she used to work in the ICT sector, offering some solutions to the industry. And when she was going to go entrepreneur, she went to Houston for the OTC, which is a similar event, but on a more global scale. And she said she went there for only one reason, to look for solutions to the problems that we have. And it's as simple as that. So she wasn't going there as an expert. She wasn't going there to meet with some people. There was no tourism opportunities, solutions, problems, solutions. So that perspective. So sometimes we expect governments and events and people to solve all the problem. It's good for government to do their work. We're not excusing government. It's good for other things. But there are certain things that are individual responsibilities. So when it comes to how companies, private sector companies, will take advantage of opportunities, it's just individual responsibility. There's no regulatory policy that can solve that. It's pure entrepreneur, and that's the foundation of the capitalistic society. So what I would advocate is that when we start to have events like this, there should be like a prelude, be it a month, be it 2 months, to get it into the minds of people that you are going to have an array of solutions. I mean, people are paying top dollar to advertise their solutions there. Go in there, look at the challenges you have, ask, discuss, deliberate, do brainstorming, and see how whatever solution they're having can solve your problems. So until we do that, we are going to be having a lot of finger pointing and trying to, what you call, cosmetic solutions today. Because at the base of the American society is the fact that everybody has an opportunity to go through the challenges of life and the opportunities that that society has and become whatever they want to become. So they put it as the individual. That's what they call the American dream. The fact that you can become anything you want to become. So we can have that. And we are saying that this kind of platforms are where we aid people who are hungry, who should be hungry, who will be able to take solutions that whatever people have and use it to solve people's problems. That would be my submission there.
Now, Doctor, of course, I like the smile on your face, by the way. The way you smile and you look at me, that makes me, Now, we've had, just like I mentioned earlier, we've had this kind of summit in the past. Would you say, looking back at, where we are today, would you say the country has been better off, with these summits over the years?
Certainly. People have learned a lot coming to the summits. People have pushed certain policy agendas, and there's been an uptake of some of such. It's provided an opportunity for industry and government to talk, project promoters and investors to get together and do deals. That's happened on the platform. But there are big issues like transformation. How do we commercialize our gas resources? I remember in 2020, it was at this Nigeria International Energy Summit that the declaration of 2020 as the year of gas was made. That is significant. It's not just a cosmetic statement by a government official, but it just focuses attention on the topic. And thereafter, it became the decade of gas. So there is a certain awakening at the importance of this particular resource. And we still haven't cracked it, because the quantum of investment you need hasn't come in. The democratization of gas consumption hasn't happened. It still needs to happen. You need to keep talking about it, advocating about it, proffering solutions, and making deals. Where do you do that? Well, we live in a virtual world, but sometimes you need to meet face to face. You need to walk through exhibition floors and see what people are offering. And then you get challenged, and then something clicks in your head, and you say, well, I can do that. And what you have is altogether the country, the continent is moving forward. Trust me, the rest of Africa is watching Nigeria. They believe that, for good and for ill, there are things Nigeria has done very well in terms of energy that they want to copy, particularly hydrocarbons. Renewable energy is the new frontier. We can lead the way even in that, because we've got the expertise, we've got the pedigree, we've got the resource, and we've got the people. We do need the right kind of policy push to be able to not abandon our hydrocarbons, but also use that hydrocarbon momentum and all of these other things I've mentioned to move into the renewables, sustainable energy. You know, I'll tell you something. Over 100,000 Nigerians, mostly women and girls, die every year from using charcoal and other unpleasant things to cook. Direct results, documented. Why is that so? Someone needs to crack the gas thing and make it a home, a domestic retail product. It's at forums like this that we can discuss and find the momentum, find the commitment, find the investment to make that happen, for instance.
Show me, we need to crack this. Somebody, what do we need to crack it? We're talking about renewable energy, we're talking about sustainable energy, and Doc, I just mentioned. So what do we need to crack this?
So if you ask me, of all the three options, I think gas is the more sustainable for me, despite the facts of what the political issues are. And I don't want to go in necessarily into all the fundamentals of the science behind renewable, sustainable energy and all that. So we're a gas nation. And they gave us the name Gas Nation. We actually didn't necessarily coin it ourselves, because it was discovered that in terms of quantity, we have a lot more gas than we have of oil. And in proving that, we have done some significant amount of export. And at a point in time, when we started in the early 2000s, we were developing at the same quantum as Qatar. In fact, the EGTL, Escravos Gas to Liquid project, has a replica plant in Qatar called the OINS, which has the same capacity. It was built by the same people and all that. So for me, just like you said, there's the decade of gas. There's even an office of the decade of gas with people manning it. Those things need to be domesticated and distilled in a way that becomes relevant to the lives of people. Focusing on those four areas: gas to power, gas-based industries, LPG, which is where the woman smiles, and gas as a fuel for industry.
But show me, are we really benefiting? Because we are called the gas nation. Are we really benefiting from this gas as much as we should?
As long as you can put on the gas at home and comment, that's some amount of benefit. But in terms of, because it's a whole value chain, we may not be maximizing it, but we are moving forward. You spoke about the necessity of gas commercialization, where there's need for regulatory input, where there's need for financial input, where everybody needs to come in. So there is a lot of work to be done. But the fact that we are talking about it and brainstorming the fact that we need to move forward itself is positive.
Thank you very much. Thank you, gentlemen. This is where we draw the curtain for today's episode of Nigeria Today. Very big thank you to Olabode Shomi, an energy expert and a public affairs analyst. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And your
Always a
contribution.
pleasure.
And also we had Dr. Paul Arinze, he's the president, Pedestal Africa Limited. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
It's been a pleasure.
And thank you for being part of the program. I'm Ikeria Clinton. Goodbye.